And the nightcap, the last bowl game before the national championship. Fellas, thank you so much for tuning into this. We've done all 33 bowl games, including this one. Chase Quinn, thank you so much for carving out the time to do this. It's been a grind, but here we are. The final one before the national championship. We have the semifinal, the All-State Sugar Bowl between number 3 Texas and number 2 Washington. This game's at 7:45 p.m. on New Year's Day. Texas is a 4.5-point favorite, and I believe 55% of America has picked Texas to win this game again. Quinn, let's pass it to you first. Went with Chase first for the Alabama game. Let's pass it to you. Who do you like and why?
I want to start with this. We talked the last semifinal. It was 52 in favor of Alabama, 48 Michigan. This one's 55-45. Those are pretty much close to 50-50 splits. I know Chase had mentioned this was the best field. I would say this is one of two. That 2017 field with Clemson, Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama. That was a pretty solid field as well. In terms of this game, I went back and forth on this for a while. Because clearly, from an overall roster perspective, Texas wins this game. They are more talented across the board through multiple positions. However, they do struggle against the pass. What has saved them is teams have a hard time running the ball on Texas. Their interior defensive line is really stout against the run. Luckily for Washington, they're super good at establishing a run game through perimeter passing attack. So that kind of negates the major strength of the Texas defense. So if any offense in this playoff is built to damage Texas, it is this Washington offense. I thought long and hard about this game, and I've ultimately decided that the best quarterback in the game is Michael Penix. I've also decided, I've also looked at the fact the game's in New Orleans, so the crowd's going to at least be 70-30 Texas. It's going to be a road game. So I took those two things, and I asked myself, at the end of the day, who do I have more faith in? And for me, the answer is the team that I kept betting against that kept proving me wrong. And that team is Washington. So I'm taking the Huskies to upset Texas with a elite day passing. And mind you, it has to be an elite day passing by Michael Penix.
Yeah, Quinn's talking about how tough this decision was. It was for me too. If you have seen the GIF of Donald Duck sleeping at night, think of the 180. That's been me. I've been restless. I've been tossing and turning. I'm trying to flip the pillow to find the cold side. I can't find it because this game is so hard to choose, guys. You look at it on one point, you have the ultimate, I'm talking about March Madness style storyline here in a Cinderella Texas-Alabama national championship, guys. Who doesn't want that more than everybody in the nation to watch Texas beat Alabama twice or Alabama resurge and beat Texas for another national championship? On the other side, you have Washington, who in every way of the game has found ways to win. I'm talking about, I think we picked Washington 4 or 5 times this year, and I think every other time I doubted them. They found a way in the Oregon State game. They found a way in the Washington State game. They found a way the second time against Oregon and the first time against Oregon. And the reason being is Michael Penix and Rome Odunze. And let me look real quick at their schedule one last time. I believe it was the Oregon State game. No, the Utah game, I believe it was. Odunze actually had a punctured lung and a broken rib after that game and went to the hospital until 5 a.m. Had a bye week that next week, came back against Washington State, closed out the game with Michael Penix, had like 130 yards and a touchdown. Well, Coach Prime at the beginning of the year had dogs on his team. Those are dogs. Those are dogs. So both of those guys. But I love that storyline. You got the Longhorns. Got a Texas shirt in the closet right now. I should have been having it on. Texas against Alabama. What's better than that? Nothing. 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 But life sucks. And that's why Washington is going to be playing in the national championship game. Not everything's built on storylines. Huskies going to win this game by 3.
Wow. Wow, I'll be honest with you. I was not expecting you guys both to go Washington here. I thought one of you would go Washington, one of you would go Texas. And I thought it would be flip-flop. Quinn, I thought you'd go Texas. Chase, I thought you'd go Washington. When I look at these two teams, what a matchup. I agree with Chase. I think on paper, this is the best field that we've had. And I think that's simply because this is the best, I guess, pot to choose from that we've ever had, as far as there's 6 teams, 6, 7 teams all the way down to Ohio State that has 1 loss or less and is a very, very good football team. For Washington, I have doubted them. I've picked against them. I thought that they were going to lose week in and week out. Bless you, Chase. I thought they were going to lose week in and week out because they just kept scraping by. They just kept squeezing by. But I've always been a proponent to say that that's a sign of a really, really, really good football team. Not necessarily when you blow out every person you play, but if you find ways to win games even when the cards are stacked against you. Playing at Oregon State, that was a fantastic football game. Found a way to win. Against Oregon the first time. Now, granted, Dan Lanning had a couple of coaching blunders that kind of killed them in that game. However, they still won the football game, and that kick at the end would have sent it to overtime. It wouldn't have won the game for Oregon. Then you come back and play them again, and you beat them yet again. So Washington's passing attack, Michael Penix, unbelievable. Not really much else you can say for them. They're big on the defensive line as well. A lot bigger than in 2016 when they made the playoffs. This is a completely different football team. They're bigger, faster, stronger. But then you look on the other side at Texas. They went into Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama. Now, granted, that was week 2, different Alabama team than what we know and love today that we saw win the SEC championship game, but they still did it, right? You can't take that away from them. You can't make excuses for it. And what I see from Texas is a bunch of big boys. Now, Oregon's got some big boys as well, but I don't think they're Texas big boy size. Everything's bigger in Texas, right? Including that defensive line. Now, the question for me is, can Washington actually hold Texas's defensive line in check to be able to even throw the ball? Washington was able to do it against Oregon, and Oregon has a very good defensive line as well. But I think Texas edges Oregon out in that front. So that's my biggest concern here. Quinn Ewers has played phenomenal this year, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 3,100, I think that is, yards passing. But Michael Penix has 1,000 more yards than he does. What a game to pick. I mean, I don't want to say 2 polar opposites, but as far as like brands and as far as like their past and the style that they play with, 2 completely polar opposites. We got the big boys in Texas playing defense, hard-nosed football, and then we have Washington airing it out, scoring 50 points a game. But Washington has a defense now. Give me Texas to win this game. Favored by 4.5. I'm going to say they cover. I'm going to say, Texas puts together a last drive of the game, whether that's, a field goal to seal it. They're up 3 and they kick a field goal to make it 6, or they score a touchdown to seal it at the end. But I anticipate this being a phenomenal game. But I'm going to go Steve Sarkisian in Texas to win this and get a rematch against Alabama in the national championship game. And boy, that game being in Houston, wow, what a game that would be. I mean, that would be the most watched game of the year, I believe. But both of these playoff games are going to be fantastic. So like we said, guys, thanks for tuning in for all these bowl games. Subscribe, please. Consider leaving a like on this video. It helps us out a ton. And be looking out for our national championship video coming out probably the week before the Natty. And then off-season stuff as well. I appreciate it, fellas. This has been 3 bold takes, the last bowl game of the year. Appreciate it to both of you. Peace out.